Look at the device you're using to watch this: the electric vehicle parked down the street, the servers powering artificial intelligence. Every one of these technologies relies on materials pulled from the earth of a single continent. The physical scale of Africa's geological wealth is difficult to overstate. This is a landmass larger than China, the United States, India, and Europe combined, dotted with extraction operations of this industrial magnitude. This data reveals a near monopoly on the future. The Democratic Republic of Congo produces over 70% of the global supply of cobalt, essential for the batteries in every smartphone. Niger holds 7% of the world's uranium. Looking toward global food security, the continent also contains 60% of the planet's uncultivated arable land. As the transition to green energy and AI accelerates, these resources have become strategic necessities. Geology has transitioned Africa from the margins of global trade to the most intensely contested geopolitical battleground on the planet. Beyond minerals, the continent is defined by a massive human resource: its people. Africa has 1.5 billion people, median age 19. As China and India age, Africa will hold the world's largest working-age population by 2030. This growth fuels rapid urbanization. Lagos is already the continent's largest city, projected to be a global top 5 by 2050. This demographic shift creates a binary outcome. It can function as the engine for a global economic boom, or it can become a driver for unprecedented continental collapse. Between 2020 and 2023, the Sahel region experienced 8 successful military coups. In Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, military leaders exploited public anger over failed security, resulting in the total expulsion of French forces from their former colonies. Russia filled that vacuum to the Africa Corps, providing regime protection and coordinated social media support. In exchange, Moscow has secured exclusive rights to gold and uranium deposits in Mali and Niger. These military leaders promise stability, but the data shows a different reality. In Burkina Faso, fatalities from militant violence nearly tripled in the 3 years following the coup, leaving the government in control of only 30% of the country. Russia's strategy prioritizes extracting natural wealth and securing captive UN votes over regional stabilization. While Russia focuses on security, China has established economic supremacy. Since 2000, Beijing has invested more than $170 billion into African infrastructure. Chinese firms build the roads, ports, and hospitals that the continent requires. In exchange, they have secured dominant control over critical supply chains, including the majority of cobalt mining in the DRC. These commercial loans have created severe debt distress in nations like Zambia. However, China's policy of non-interference makes them a preferred partner for African governments wary of Western governance requirements. By constructing the physical foundation of the continent, China tied Africa's economic future directly to Beijing. The United States has seen its influence erode, as significant cuts to U.S. aid disrupted critical health and food programs, while Washington's focus narrowed to a transactional pursuit of the minerals needed for defense and AI. This retreat has invited a new tier of aggressive regional powers into the vacuum. The UAE, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia are now major actors across East Africa, purchasing vast tracts of agricultural land for their own food security and taking controlling stakes in critical maritime hubs along the Red Sea. The second scramble for Africa is a multipolar free-for-all. This competition between mid-level powers is actively complicating regional civil wars, like the de facto partition of Sudan. In 1884, European powers divided Africa in Berlin without a single African present. Today, the continent refuses to be a passive board for external play. Evidence of this awakening is mounting. The African Union now holds a permanent seat at the G20, and the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area is designed to build internal wealth rather than exporting it. The continent's youth are the decisive force in this shift. In June 2024, a leaderless movement of Kenyan Gen Z protesters organized on social media to flood the streets of Nairobi. Their activism successfully forced the government to abandon a series of predatory taxes. This connected activist generation is a check on both foreign exploitation and domestic military juntas. Global headlines focus on conflict, but there is a parallel reality of rapid modernization. Rwanda, Senegal, and Ivory Coast are among the world's fastest-growing economies. Lagos is now a global hub for fintech startups, while other nations launch their own satellites. These leaders are demanding technology transfers, equitable trade rules, and sovereign debt relief. Africa is rising and falling simultaneously. Whichever trajectory prevails will dictate the global economy for the next century. Ultimately, the powers that thrive in the coming decades will be those that abandon the extraction-first model and engage with Africa as a sovereign equal.